What is up, Empire? It's your girl Panda here, and this podcast is brought to you today by Omnitrans. Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to the Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans also offers free rides for students at local schools, supporting the next generation of soccer athletes and getting them to school, practice, and games for free. Visit omnitrans.org for more information and to plan your next ride. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Striking Fury. Like I said in the intro, I am your girl, Amanda the Panda Philemon, and I am fine without a glass of wine tonight, but that is okay. It is a Wednesday, and it's probably best that we keep it that way. And of course, I am joined by the always with a little flair, crazy with the hair. You all know him as Philly, guys. What's going on?
I'm back. We're back. We're back in the saddle again. That's right. Yours truly, Philly, the self-proclaimed beast from the East, and one half of the husband and wife duo, here to give to you that striking fury. What rhymes with duo? Fluo. I don't know. Anyway,
making up stuff.
The husband and wife faction, here to give to you the MASL and Empire Strikers faction. Now, there's two of us. We got one more to bring onto the show, and this guy's got a PhD in personality.
Back in the saddle again. Out where a friend is a friend. What's up, everybody? Doc here. Pleasure to be back with you, talking some Empire Strikers. What's up, Panda? What's up, Philly? Good to see you guys, too.
Hello, hello. Good to see you as well, and it's good to be back in everybody's ears and whatever device that they are viewing or listening this on. And well, we have a guest on the show. It looks like. What's going on here, buddy?
A flamingo.
Okay, that's going to be very annoying all night. So it's probably going to get chucked across the room at some point. So hopefully you're watching
along with
this.
myself.
Yeah, I can pick that up a lot faster. So, anyways, on today's podcast, we're going to, of course, go over our most recent game against the Sockers and talk about what's going on with Empire, as well as preview games that are up and coming, and then go over some fun news and notes from around the league. So we can just start this thing out. We'll start about something that you and I actually got to do recently that I thought was really fun. Philly, would you like to talk to them a little bit about what we got to do and why it was so special?
You're talking about the article, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that the bold typing on your program was exactly what I had thought. All right, so on the MASL Soccer website, there was an interview posted with soccer author Michael Lewis about myself and Panda. Now, for those of you who don't know, Michael Lewis has been a writer in this space for longer than any of us have been alive. Covered the NASL 13 World Cups, wrote a great book on the history of the Rochester Lancers dating back to the times when the New York Arrows were still in existence. Covered so many different things. He was Grant Wall really before there was even a Grant Wall. And actually, he'd been writing things since probably before Grant Wall was even born. Rest in peace, by the way, Grant Wall. And so I had the honor and privilege of getting to meet Michael Lewis in 2022 during the MLS Cup that was in Los Angeles. And so I saw him, I recognized him, I introduced myself, and we had a friendly dialogue, and we would ping each other on social media every once in a while. And then I got to see him again in Columbus at the MLS Cup final during the post-game press conference. We were just chatting a little bit, and we exchanged numbers, and unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize he would ask. He wanted to interview Panda and I because he thought the story between, having a husband and wife broadcast duo was compelling. And so it was great. We were on the phone with him for about an hour. It didn't really seem or feel like an interview. It felt more like a conversation amongst friends. And it was an awesome article. And yeah, check it out on MASLsoccer.com. You get to learn a little bit about myself and Amanda and how we came into fruition with the Empire Strikers, the Striking Fury podcast, and indoor soccer. And yes, they mentioned Jonathan Reimer quite extensively in that interview. In a lot of ways. There are a couple of corrections, though, that I do need to let Michael Lewis know about. Jonathan, I'll let you fill in the gap there.
So look, folks, there are two different people out there in this beautiful world that are in Philly's life that might have the letters J and R attached to their personage. One could arguably be myself, Jonathan Reimer, as we've all figured out, has a J and an R to it, right? There is another person whose name is actually JR, who co-hosts Defenders of the Bank with Philly, his LAFC podcast. JR's girlfriend, Nina, works with Amanda on their covering of all things Angel City Chicks. So JR, very important person in all of our lives, but specifically in this story, is a different person than me, Doc. Hello, Jonathan Reimer. So just, some clarification there that JR and Nina, wonderful people. You occasionally get to hear JR's voice, MASL fans, as he is the backup to John Spire at Toyota Arena on the public address system. And if you follow Philly's podcast, Defenders of the Bank, you are well aware of La Bufanda himself. A great person, not to be confused with myself. So just some clarification there, perhaps. But
you want to talk about a mind mess up? So obviously there's two JRs. We refer to the other JR as the Scarf. No joke. My right hand at the office. His name is John. Last name, no joke, Scarf. So I got two JRs and two Scarfs in my life.
And John is like,
and John and a bunch of Johns.
You've got
John Scarf, John Reimer, John Spire.
You've got John Reimer.
You can see the need for him to call me Doc, right? I mean, it comes from something. It wasn't like, oh, we're just going to give him a nickname to give him a nickname. Like, he had to give me a nickname because there was just too many other people, too many other Johns, too many other JRs around.
But and as confusing as all this sounds, it's very easy to see how it can be very confusing when you're doing an interview and he's talking about, the doc, Jonathan Reimer, and then it's talking about Nina and JR. And it's like, it's easy to assume that, but obviously we want to give credit where credit is due. And yes, he is part of that and is connected with Nina. It is not Jonathan Reimer, which would probably make a woman and a man out there a little angry if that were the case.
Yeah.
So anyways, it was a great article. It was fun to tell our story and did a great job with it. So if you're curious to know about our story and how we met and how we went from, where we were at in our life in 2014 all the way up into how we're doing this and how we're sitting here today, check out that article. It is on the homepage of the MASL website. If you scroll down there, you will definitely see it. And let us know what you think. And anybody want to have?
First of all, I just want to say, jokes aside, the article is a fantastic article. Your story, the two of you doing this together, the banter between the two of you that's, so endearing to all of us, right? Like, all of that is a great story and needs to be celebrated. And I'm glad that somebody took the time to, just peel back the curtain a little bit and shed the light on the chaos and madness that I get to endure all season long. So it's lovely.
You should probably get interviewed next, kind of adjacent to it. So what's it like working alongside this? So, but no,
that'll be 20 years from now when the documentary comes out. I'll save it for then.
All right. Sounds good.
That could be what your story is called, the documentary.
Ooh.
That's solid. That's solid. I'm like one episode into season 2 of Showtime right now that I was watching right before we were recording. Speaking of great,
I'm catching up on that as well. That's such a cool show.
Fun, no doubt. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. And I mean, who doesn't love kits? MASL has some of the most fun kits out there. I feel like they really have a lot of freedom to really go out there and do what they want. We've seen some fantastic ones. We've had some great ones at the at Strikers as well with our different theme nights. And a few that were available recently were the charity kits that St. Louis Ambush and UCFC had recently put on auction.
I believe they're still up.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about those for us.
Oh, I think they're both still up. So both teams kind of did something which I thought was a little unique. Normally in the past, when there's a charity jersey auction, the auction runs till the end of the game. And when the game's over, boom, that's it. It's done. This time they're running them for like 7 to 10 days. So the auctions have a chance to build up some steam, which I think is much smarter. So right now there's still about 24 hours left on the St. Louis Ambush. Those are for their Pink Kit Cancer charity with their local cancer center that they work with there. So that's a really cool looking kit, and you can go bid. You can get some of the game worn officials uniforms as well too that were all pink. So if you don't want just the soccer jersey look, you can bid on some of the game officials that wore the pink officials gear and some killer kits and a kit for the Goose, which is pretty cool. It's supposedly autographed. I'm not sure how a goose will autograph a jersey, but if you get like a little ink paw print or on the back
Feather.
of that thing, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
You have
And then
one
of
for the
course,
owl? Does Utica have a Hootery one for the owl?
I
I'd have to
should
talk Timmy Goldman about that.
I
one.
know.
Yeah,
They
let's-
should have. I would have done that.
Let's get Keeper's Corner on the phone. They got to help us out here with that one. But yeah, the Riggies, for all of you fans of Rigatoni and the whole Utica Riggies temporary rebrand marketing thing that, I don't know. I got a sweatshirt. It's coming in the mail. We'll see.
you
But
did?
if you want to
Cool.
go bid yourself on a jersey, I thought it was a pretty cool logo. And I deeply, deeply, deeply love pasta. So, I think it's important. I read an article this week that the euphoria given to one by eating pasta triggers similar things in the brain to taking drugs or, enjoying other
way.
pleasures. So just pasta. It's a wonderful
No
thing. And it brings
way.
us all happiness and joy.
The only thing it triggers in you is gastric disruption.
Clearly that's unique to me.
I mean, it does pair well phenomenally with a glass of wine. I love pasta. It's the best pasta I ever had
Oh,
was
please.
in
You would
Italy.
pair wine with toothpaste.
Oh God, that sounds
Oh
awful.
no, that
Don't
sounds
you
awful.
love your wine?
I do love a pasta themed mascot. That was pretty fun. So maybe I'll get on there and score some merch myself. So
You got a
But-
Taylor
funny,
Walter
Phil-
Bond jersey still up for auction. Mo NDI. We obviously know Mo very well. Gordy Gerson and obviously Frank Tayu. And so far in the lead for what I'm seeing on Live Source, Mo NDI, formerly of the Empire Strikers.
very cool.
Yeah, some of those kits for the Shrubs are going for like $400 already. I mean,
Damn.
considering they have the whole team on there, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and they always go to a great cause. So if you've always wanted to have your own very cool jersey, especially a one of a kind with the Riggies and everything, that I don't know if we'll see that a whole lot, but yeah, check it out. Is it all on Live Source? Or just the
Utica
Riggies?
one is for sure.
All right.
The other one is on event.gives. So if you go to event.gives, it'll pull up all the St. Louis Ambush and you can bid on one of those sweet pink Shrubs kits. I had a few bids on a few of them. They got a little pricey for me. So glad I helped drive the dollar up that's going to charity, but I think it got a little too rich for my blood.
Doctor driving the dollar.
All the work you're doing, or I figured you'd just be swimming in all that money, right?
The portion of income that is allocated to kit sales,
It's very low.
unfortunately, it's that time of year. There's a lot of them dropping. I got to be careful. I got to be careful.
I totally understand that.
Got to save some money for to pay the tax man.
All right. Well, that's all we got on that. Let's move along to just briefly this segment, kind of who's hot, who's not. I just want to look around the league at the standings, what's going on, anything that stands out to you guys right now.
The first thing that stands out, before I don't mean to interrupt, is just your name for this segment. And I just want to make sure we are intentionally throwing shade at goals and boards, right? Over the whole Izzy Cisse thing. That is our intent here. Are we
Who's
just
not?
making that clear?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of which, keep talking. I'll be right back.
I just want to make sure that that subtlety was avoided in this case, and that we just got aggressively blatant with it.
Yeah.
For
Well, I
those of
didn't
you
think
who
anybody
don't
would.
know,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead and fill everybody in on a little bit of that backstory.
so Goals and Boards, fantastic show. We love you guys, Brad, Gio, Phil, you kill it.
Absolutely.
But they do a show from a fan perspective covering, well, I guess maybe not from a fan perspective anymore, but we'll see. We'll follow that space a little bit more. Covering the league, and they do a segment every week, who's hot, who's not. They recently had Empire Strikers captain Izzy Cisse on there, who's not, the week he became a Centurion, I might add. So we had a little bone to pick with them, went on their show and threw some shade. So it's only appropriate. The shade continues on to the next episode of Striking Fury as well, too. And yes, love to the members. Although, as I told them on their show, I just wish they would make better choices.
Well, hopefully they will going forward. But they did choose fun stuff for their merch. So if you're on YouTube and you can check it out, we did get the privilege of getting some cool merch. It does say Goals and Boards on the back, in case you're wondering, with their cool little logo here as well. So like they said, definitely check them out. They cover all things within the league. But you're right. Sometimes we may have to disagree a little bit with their decisions on things. Now, going back to what we said with the who's hot, who's not. What are your first thoughts, Philly, on the standings? What sticks out the most to you?
I mean, without a doubt, one would be blind as a bat to not to give shout out to the Monterey Flash. The Monterey Flash are on an absolute freaking tear. They just squared off against the Milwaukee Wave in what was a battle between the first place and the second place team in the Eastern Conference. And it's safe to say that Monterey put the shebang bang on the Milwaukee Wave. It was a butt kicking, and they've been kicking everybody's butt all season long. In the 12 games the Flash have competed in, they've scored 106 goals. They have allowed 52, a plus 54 goal differential. They're winning at home. They're winning on the road. Granted, they've had far more games at home than they have on the road, but the Monterey Flash are a steamroller. It's what was left a portion of last season's team with the likes of players such as Castillo and obviously Walter Ayubi. But then they bring in players like Torres, Edgar Gonzalez from the Chihuahua Savage. And, man, they've just been lighting people up like a Christmas tree. It's unreal how good the Monterey Flash are.
I mean, what Castillo's doing, he's basically doubled his points per game from last year to this year. I mean, talk about, a sophomore campaign. This kid is blown up. I mean, he's just 3-4 points behind being amongst, the Pereiras and, the likes of Mendez and things like that are up there scoring ridiculous points. Now, they've done it in less games, and their points per games is probably the end of the season are probably going to have them standing out a little bit further. But I mean, he's still up there in the high 20s in points. They've got 5 or 6 guys sitting on 11 goals right now. I mean, it's an impressive team. And, we warned the East about having one of these teams from Mexico in the East. We warned them, these guys are really good. And what it's like to go south of the border and have to compete in those arenas, and what it's like to have, even when they travel, these teams come into your arena and smoke you is not fun. And I'm glad to see that the East is getting a little shade from it. But I mean, even when they play teams out West, even when they play the reigning champs, Chihuahua, Monterey is just destroying everybody. And frankly, it's fun to watch from a certain perspective, but it's also a little scary.
It'll be interesting when we host them in Toyota Arena in the early parts of February. I think February 4th is the game in which Monterey comes up to Toyota Arena. It'll be the first time we've seen them since we called the game down in Arena Monterrey last season. So that's that. Another surprising thing I just have to take note of, the Kansas City Comets. They started out so red hot and are recently on a bit of a skid. Can't count this team out because they are devilishly talented, but they squared off against Utica City. Utica City beat them 7-6, and then they had the unfortunate task of running into the Mexican buzzsaw. They played the Monterey Flash, lost 12-5. They played them again shortly after. It was a much closer game, 8-7, and then, they went to a place that we know here in Ontario as a house of horrors for opposing teams, Corner Sports Arena, and, the Savage just savagely whooped up on the Comets, beating them 8-2.
I mean, I think it's also a tale of, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, you look at last year's Eastern Conference champs, the Baltimore Blast. I mean, that has completely fallen apart and come off the rails there. And frankly, for the Savage as well, too, as dominant a team as they were down the stretch at the end of last season, they've really struggled out the gates so far this year. They have the talent to turn it around and start picking up some momentum. But the Blast, on the other hand, I do not see that as a team picking up momentum.
Well, look, you can't count a team with the likes of Tony Donatelli and Adriano Dos Santos out. I mean, they're a very, very talented squad that they've played together for a while. I mean, for them, it could be a matter of flipping the light switch. I mean, all the offseason drama that occurred there obviously affected the team tremendously because that separated them from some of their star players, such as William Van Zella, obviously Lucas Roque. Melo's dealing with visa stuff. So you take those 3 players out of the equation, it's going to hurt any squad. And we're going to talk a little bit about Lucas Roque here on our stuff. I mean, we'll just mention a quick update. But, yeah, I mean, that's a story about who's hot, who's not. And even though one would argue that the Empire Strikers aren't necessarily hot, we're not very far out from the playoff range. Yes, we are 6 points behind Tacoma. It's the 4 teams that go through in the playoffs in the West and the East. But, we start picking up a couple of wins here and there. We win at Tacoma on Thursday, and we're still very much in the hunt. So the Empire Strikers are on a team that could be on the verge of turning from not to hot.
Well, especially look, I mean, after facing Tacoma, who has already bested us twice this year, but they've been close games that Empire's mistakes have really played in the outcomes of. And if we just clean up a few of those mistakes and it's talent on talent at that point, we have a much better chance of claiming 3 points on the road here. And then we come home to the Ambush. And as well as the Ambush have played in a couple games this season, they're also a 2-win team. So you have to look at that as prime opportunity to pick up 3 points there as well, too. And there's your 6 points.
A 2-win team, but a team, by the way, with more points than us. Panda, what you got next on our list of stuff to chat about?
Well, one thing with winning games that has recently been, I guess, talked about is goalkeeping. Something I think.
Shout out Eric Bergerud.
That's what I was going to say. Thank you.
Oh, shoot.
I'm the host here. You are not. I'm going to go timeout for you. Anyways, one thing that we talk about is goalkeeping, and it's so important. And there was an article recently that was put out on the MASL website, and they highlight this specifically. And I think it's a very interesting article. And if you have a chance, I'm not going to go over everything that it actually says, but it does highlight the teams, obviously, with, goals against average and save percentage and everything. And I mean, those are the ones that win games. And I don't know if anybody else got to check out this article or look at it or give thoughts on it. But if you did, please speak up now. If not, then I encourage everybody to go over there and read this, because it was a pretty cool article. I mean, if you like metrics and you're a little bit of a stat nerd, I think it was his name's Reyna, the guy.
Reyna, yeah.
Reyna, I want to give him credit. He put together some pretty cool stats when it comes to goalkeeping and win percentages with saves and things like that. So very cool.
Don't do it.
Moral of the story: Diego Reynoso, very, very good at goalkeeping.
Yes, very, very good at goalkeeping.
And good to see him back in the saddle again. Diego Reynoso, a legend in this, and we're actually going to be seeing a legendary goalkeeper as well in Empire on Sunday, in that Apollo Nascimento. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Are you? Go.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not the host. I got to shut the front door.
You get in front of us. You get like behind us, and you just
don't get behind us. We'll get behind.
All right, fine. Then we will move on ahead, because we don't want to make this an hour plus long pod. We want to get right to business, since we only have one game to recap. And the game I'm talking about is, of course, a rival game, Strikers versus Sockers. And this is going to happen at home in Toyota Arena. Certainly a must win for the Strikers, in my opinion. Billy, what are your thoughts on this game?
So it's the second time that we faced the San Diego Sockers. Early on in the season, in December, we squared off against them at Pechanga Arena. A game in which we lost, and we lost quite candidly. Coming into this, the expectation was that the boys would try to turn things around and up the performance. Paul Wright squaring off against his former team in Toyota Arena would have been the perfect, compelling story. And for half of a game, it absolutely was a compelling story. Only our second of 6 matchups, and we know the history is lopsided with the Sockers having the lion's share of wins. And it was a pretty good game for 2 quarters. I would say 2.5, but that's sort of the storyline there. There's a lot of interesting, compelling things. Craig Childs on the precipice of being the 5th member of the 400-point club. We'll talk more about that later. But then we have the return of Gabriel Costa, newcomer of the year. The return again of Charlie Gonzalez, who's still the franchise leader in so many statistical categories. And that's
Chris Toth.
And obviously Chris Toth, not with San Diego.
Oh, shoot. No, we're playing them this tomorrow. Never mind.
Always fine with a glass of wine. Go get that wine.
Why I need
get that wine.
I don't have any, actually.
Well, wait, that's just because she doesn't like reds. Convince her that she needs reds in her life. They're healthier for her than the sweet rosés that she drinks.
Sweet rosé is not healthy for you.
There
That's
you go.
Fact. That is a fact.
Do I look unhealthy to either one of you?
I
She's got
didn't
a
say that.
point. She doesn't
I
have
didn't say
problems
that.
seeing her feet. That's for
I
sure.
didn't say that.
I'm just
And if only you knew a person that could sell you wine. My goodness. But
do you know
that's a story.
anybody that could help me procure a nice like case of some good white wines out there and
Preferably for free.
not break the bank?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I didn't say free. I would
You
never.
got to make an appointment to go to his store. You think he's going to give anything to us for free?
I did.
I got a sound for that.
You were the one who said free. I said for, not break the bank is what I said. So,
Yeah, if you want to drink wine for free, you just have to come over. But
Oh.
that's
He's got a point there too. Plus, he's got ducks.
so we're going to do the podcast from his place at some point and
We
just
should.
we're just going to drink until they shut us off of YouTube. How about that?
No, we can hang out. We can do the pod. We can drink wine until we start speaking Cantonese. It'll be a beautiful thing.
All right. Let's get sorry. We didn't mean to go
The
off the rails.
San Diego Sockers game that we were talking about was a
Yes.
really fun first half. San Diego, ended up leading 2-1 at the half, but Empire looked good. The defense looked solid. They had some really big moments offensively, some big saves on either end, kept the score line down. Pardo was dancing around goal. I mean, really kept Empire from having a lead there in the first half. But what has unfortunately become a reoccurring theme throughout the course of this season is the third quarter for Empire. And I don't know what it is coming out of the locker room, but teams just seem to be able to punch us once and then be able to follow up with 2-3 more in the third quarter before we can finally get our feet back under us. And our fourth quarter performances in this game and in other games have been fantastic. And when our game is on the line and we're having to fight our way back in, we look great. But for some reason, there's a complacency in the third quarter in this team that, got outscored 5-0 in this particular game. And that was basically game over. Getting 4 goals back in the fourth quarter was a great thing to see. And it made the game a lot more interesting and a lot more fun to call. But it's these third quarters that are just taking the rug right out from under us right now.
I mean, 100%. The game, the Sockers got off to a start early. And of course, it was a gut punch having Gabriel Costa score that banger with 59 seconds into the game. We got fortunate in the sense that Mijatovic equalized it. And Steph's been on a roll, man. Ever since we moved him up to that target forward position, Steph's been doing big things, becoming one of our top scorers and our most potent offensive threats. But what really took the wind out of our sails was that goal by Juan Gonzalez to close out the half. And I don't mean Charlie, I mean Juan Gonzalez. When he scored, it surprised all of us. There was a momentum shift. The crowd at Toyota Arena got into it. We obviously got into it on the broadcast in an excited way. And we head in the locker room thinking, San Diego kind of, made a quick statement with that goal. How are they going to turn things around? Turn things around, they didn't, because they let in 5 more goals in that third quarter. And I mean, it was tough to recuperate from. The highlights, obviously, we got to call Craig Charles' 400th point off of the set piece, his assist to Drew Ruggles. That was awesome. I mean, I love Craig Charles. He might be on the opposing side, but he's a heck of a dude and a hell of a player. But the one thing that you and I got to be a part of, I'll let you talk about that one, because obviously my voice was featured on that thing, as was yours. But we saw arguably the goal of the season, and we got to preside over that. Ain't that right, Doc?
All great goals should have a name, right? And Churras goal, that should be known as the Churraso, right? That goal was,
like
it was
that.
a golazo by Churras. It was the Churraso. That's what I'm calling it. I have no idea if that's actually a word. I hope it doesn't mean something bad.
I was
But
going to say, I hope it doesn't
nonetheless,
translate to something really bad.
Yeah.
It was ludicrous. It was out of this world. I mean, it was SportsCenter top 10 worthy. It's gonna win goal of the year. If it doesn't win goal of the year, somebody is going to do something miraculous. I mean, there were some other great goals this week. I mean, De Leon's game winner. I mean, that was a roofer. That was a brilliant shot. I mean, a couple of those goals by San Diego in the Strikers game were pretty amazing as well too. That Costa one early, but this goal is on a different level, right? The one touch flip up, the fact that it's a goal in transition. It's not like they had time to set this up. I mean, boom, the pass gets picked off. It's one touch in, and he just says, you know what? Keeper's out. I got this. Flips it up. Boom, over the top in. The courage, the conviction, the execution, how far away from the goal he was. I mean, everything about that golazo. I mean, I don't, we might go the rest of our careers never calling a better goal than that. And that's how great a goal that was.
Calling it or even seeing a better goal. I mean, where were you when that happened and what were your thoughts?
I was down in the penalty box down where
Sin bin.
yeah, I was in the sin bin where I usually hang out because it's easy to get onto the turf for the media timeouts and things like that. And we're just standing there. And I mean, I had like the perfect vantage point of that goal. And I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't, there's nothing you can say. I mean, it's one of those goals where you don't want to cheer for it because it's the opposing team, but it's such a good goal. You want to cheer for it for that. And me being not on a broadcast that's trying to, be somewhat neutral. I'm down there and representing the strikers. And again, we don't want to have a goal go against us, but you have to appreciate that for the beauty and the talent and the confidence and the skill that it actually is and what it takes to accomplish something like that. Like, yeah, I felt like it was in slow motion when I watched it, and I looked up in the bird's nest where you guys are, and yeah, I could just see you going crazy. I can't hear you somehow. I can't hear you from down there, and I just knew you were going crazy, and I couldn't wait to watch that back because I knew it was going to be amazing, and it was. You guys did such a good job calling that and giving it the credit that it was due, and I loved your call on it, Jonathan, with the Queen reference about the bicycle. It was just. Those things aren't rehearsed. They can't be rehearsed because they are in the moment. And when you guys say something the way that you do and it just rolls off the tongue, it's like, how did you not know this was coming? Because it just came out so, fluidly. And it was just great. You guys did such a good job.
Let the record show that my wife was actually being nice to me. That's because we're being professional right now, not husband and wife.
Well, at least one of us is. That's correct. So
it was a fun call. I honestly, I wish it had been a striker, but
Sure.
I mean, Escoto, my goodness, right?
Yeah. And also, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's his birthday week. Go out, get yourself a golazo, buddy. Go for it. It's a bummer that it happened versus us, and it being the Sockers and the Strikers and all that, and that
right.
we have to have our voices connected with that call forever, which I'm sure the San Diego fans love, and it just that the salt in that wound is still fresh, but. Que golazo, man. Like, dude, my goodness.
Que golazo indeed. So now, obviously we've talked a lot about the San Diego Sockers. Our boys started coming back, though. It was at one point, 8-1, a very lopsided victory, a very lopsided game up to that point. But you alluded to something earlier on and how we start to play very well in the fourth quarter. If only we could have that kind of performance throughout the course of an entire game and not miss out on 15 crucial minutes worth of action. We started things off with Marco Fabian. Marco Fabian continuing on his streak. He so far has 8 goals and 8 assists in the 7 games that he's competed in. So he started lighting things up a little. And anytime Marco Fabian scores, and MASL puts that highlight anywhere on social media, that sucker's going to go viral just because of the fact that it is Marco Fabian. But we started getting a flurry of goals, and for a little while, the game really, really got interesting.
Bryce Watson got his first career MASL goal.
Awesome stuff.
We've talked a lot about Bryce Watson. Suddy, who's in the chat, knows Mr. Watson pretty well, as he was on the call with me when we really got to see that kid make his debut indoor in the IE and really get that launch he needed to end up in the MASL. And it was like, well, it's a cool story. He made it here. Now he's got to do something here for the story to go on, right? And he steps up, he gets his first goal. Defensively, he's looking a lot better. You can see he's adapting well to the game. His first couple appearances for Empire, it still looked like he was trying to figure out, frankly, the whole team did, where the ball was going, what needed to happen. So, now that the team's figuring out a little bit, you can certainly see his development in his game escalating. And I love the pink boots. Those are fire. So I hope he continues to excel, and this is not the last time we get to see Watson put one in the back of the net.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to interview him after the game. I just thought it was like the perfect person to interview. At least he had something positive to really put out there and to kind of highlight him as well, because he is a hustler. He is so happy to be here and just thankful every time he gets to step out on that turf. So yeah, congratulations to him for that. I thought that was pretty cool.
And Harold Hansen gets the credit on the assist. Harold Hansen, I think he's gotten points in the last 5 straight games. So it's another one of our new players that is starting to actually he started right hot out of the gate collecting points. So he contributed to that, which is awesome. Momo got back into the scoring sheets. Mo Guy had one, and Mijatovic managed to claw one more back, putting it 8-5. And the one player that I also wanted to give a nod to, Randy Martinez. Randy Martinez got the assist. He's been collecting some points. There were plenty of opportunities in which Randy Martinez got missed when he was wide open for a surefire banger of a goal. But here's another young man who's hustling really hard, like Bryce Watson, like everybody else who's become part of this team and starting to contribute. Randy, has been starting at Toyota Arena, collecting assists, and he's hustling. And if there's any silver lining in the performances that the Strikers have had these past couple of games, is that these young guys are starting to pick things up and they're starting to get it. While it's a disadvantage having to compete against the likes of San Diego and Tacoma on multiple times, I echo the words in a recent interview done with Brandon Gomez. Now they're starting to see the tendencies of some of these players and are able to play with them a lot more efficiently, knowing what some people are going to do, like a Nick Pereira, like perhaps a Craig Charles. Anytime he's in a dead ball situation, a free kick, that guy's going to assassinate you. Like, they're learning, and I hope they can take some of the stuff that they've learned in the many matches we've already played against Tacoma and do some battle with them at the Accesso Showwear Center tomorrow night.
Garrett Bloom made his way back from injury. He got minutes in this game as well, too. Expecting big things from him. Obviously, he's still nursing his way back, so minutes were pretty limited, but it was nice to see him get back out there. Still quite a few people on the shelf, and of course, Justin Stinson was not available for this game either, as he was off with U.S. futsal responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that, and I mean, this is a team that still doesn't have, like you said, the likes of a Howard Miller Jr. They don't have Claude Dielna. Justin Stinson was missing from this game. There are still a lot of pieces to this puzzle that still haven't, like, I don't feel like we've gotten to be our full squad yet. And, I still think that we're putting up some very respectable performances. I know they're not converting into points, which is ultimately what we want. But like you said, we did have a strong first half. And then the fourth quarter was all ours. It was that third quarter. And I joked, I said, I don't know what they're doing at the half. I mean, I don't know if, they're taking shots or what they're doing in there. But, something just is happening out of that third quarter that, it's just that the drive, the tenacity, what they need to, staying on their feet is just, they're back on their heels a bit. And it's unfortunate because I see glimpses of a team that, if they could play four full quarters like that, then, they would be hard to beat, I think, in that sense.
I think we need to effectively just quiet down our rhetoric and narrative on this third quarter because it's something that hopefully doesn't stick with the team. Do you recall towards the end of last season, Doc, and the beginning of this season, we kept talking about the losing streak that the Empire Strikers were on, and we were told maybe to not constantly talk about that. And then when we finally stopped talking about that, it stopped happening for at least a little while anyway, until, the end. You recall that? Maybe we should stick to that.
I call it like I see it. All right.
Fair enough.
I mean, you get outscored 5-0 in a quarter. It's kind of hard not to talk about that quarter.
Yeah, all right, fine. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
True, but what we can do is talk about the positive things. And one thing I want to talk about that I think is positive, at least, is the penalty kill percentage that the Strikers have this year is actually, it's second only to Monterey. I think Monterey has a penalty kill of, what is it, 0.818, and ours is 0.7765. So we are right on the heels of them, and right under that at 0.700 is Chihuahua Savage. So some of the positives here are, we are killing the penalties. So when push comes to shove and we're forced to really buckle down, then we're showing up to that. So I have no doubt that we can do that when we're full squad, and we're 5v5 and we're even. Because if we can shut them down when we're down a man this consistently, I have no doubt that we can do it consistently when we're even strength.
There's that element. Absolutely brilliant take. But also when they've had the opportunities to be in a power play, they've nearly converted on 1 out of every 2 opportunities they had. They're just a couple of basis points shy of 50%. So that's another thing that speaks very positively about the Strikers team. So, we're waiting for that switch to flip where they turn things around and shock all of us. And believe you me, I will die on this hill. I think it's coming. A lot of you are going to be surprised. Hold this receipt. I don't care. I think these guys are going to start turning things around and picking up some dubs.
I mean, just the eye test alone to anyone who watches the games. Looking at an Empire Strikers game versus San Diego, this is night and day performance from what we saw from this team early on, just in cohesion. The scoreline doesn't always represent how the game plays out in front of you, for sure. Scoreline matters a lot. But, the Strikers are definitely not making some of the egregious mistakes they were making early on. They're buttoning a few of those up. I mean, they still have their moments where they give the opponent an advantage, and, those need to get minimalized. But for the most part, the team is progressing in a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of pieces that have been still being added throughout the course of the season that have come together. And I think we're finally getting to a point now where we're looking at a roster that's fairly stable. These are the names we expect to see throughout the rest of the season. People are starting to adapt and grow into roles. And that's exactly when I expect this team to be able to take off. And given who our next two opponents are, I think there's certainly an opportunity for that.
Absolutely. One other thing I want to mention, we were asked about this via the chat on the broadcast. What's the status of Lucas Roque? Look, Lucas Roque is taking care of family situations. That's why he is listed on the inactive part of our roster. So that's the reason why we haven't seen him since Mexico. Will we see him in the upcoming games? Your guess, honestly, is as good as mine. Until we see on that transaction Lucas Roque is active, he will remain inactive and taking care of the personal stuff that he has to take care of. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, difficult for players to uproot and move their lives when something happens. They have to be home and family first. We support that certainly here, and wish him all the best in the meantime.
Sounds good to me. If we do see him, I'll be very excited about it. I think he'd be a great addition to our squad. I think, having another target forward up there up front would bode well for our Strikers squad. So, having said that, though, I think we need to make a mention of something that's very important to this podcast.
Yeah, it's time to pay the bills. Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in the San Bernardino County. Omnitrans is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Earn great wages, get up to $1,000 sign-on bonus, and enjoy great benefits including medical, dental, and tuition reimbursement. Working for Omnitrans is more than just a job, it's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today.
Sounds good to me. I mean, hop on Omnitrans and get your way around. I would love to do that. I wish I could have Omnitrans take me to work, because those commute home, I swear I turn into a different person with all the people that are on the road that do not know how to drive. So
I've got news for you. You can do that if you lived in the San Bernardino County.
That's true. That's true. I could probably have a bigger house too if I lived out there as well. All right. Well, let's move on to this next segment of our game, and that is where we're going to talk about what is coming up. Let's talk about the games and what's home, what's away, what to expect. We got some new faces on this coming up soon. So we've already played the Baltimore Blast, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Why do we play them twice and not Utica once? I'm so confused.
Or Milwaukee once.
Yeah, the schedule never makes sense to me. But either way, what does make sense to me is tomorrow, the Empire Strikers are going to be up in the Seattle area in Tacoma. They're going to be taking on the Stars for, I think, the third time. Yeah, the third time this season.
Technically Kent, not Tacoma.
It doesn't
Kent,
matter.
Washington.
Why would you correct me on that?
Yeah, all right.
That was dumb.
She was right. She said the Seattle-Tacoma area.
I said the
It's
area.
in the area.
I said to be precise. Forget it. If there's anything I've learned doing a podcast is trying to prove you're right to your wife is a surefire way to end up on the couch, which, by the way, is starting to get an outline of me for the number of times I've stuck my foot in my mouth.
So either way, we are heading into La Cocina to take on the Taco Masters, a team that has bested us by near identical score lines both times, I believe, 7-5, both times.
Correct.
So a Strikers team that was stumbling out the blocks was able to come within 2 goals of this team making some mistakes. They came back home. The Strikers really started to put things together. Unfortunately, they made some more mistakes in that home game, gave a couple cheap goals away. Stars also have some really good players. You might have heard of Nick Pereira. He's pretty good, I guess. Goalkeeper's not bad. That Chris Toth dude, like, all right, he's good. So look, they beat us 7-5 both times, but I feel like the momentum, the pendulum is swinging in Empire's direction for this game. So I feel like we're starting to come together, and this is a team we know now. Third time's the charm, right? We've seen them twice. We know what they do. We're going to lock up our mistakes, and we're coming home with 3 points in this one.
Love that. Tomorrow at 7:05 Pacific time. It's 10 o'clock on the Eastern Coast. If you want to tune in and see how the Strikers do against Tacoma. Now, Sunday, this coming weekend as well, we have quite an opportunity. And we keep saying this, but I think it's a must win. What do you think?
Every game is a must win.
Yes, I know, but I think there's a lot of ramifications with a loss, to be honest.
Well, absolutely. Look, so the history between the Empire Strikers / Ontario Fury and the St. Louis Ambush isn't a very extensive one. Throughout the history of the MASL, which, by the way, is turning 10, these two teams have not really squared off against each other much. This season, it'll be our second time, and we haven't had this many contests against St. Louis since the 2021 season, in which we were once called the Ontario Fury. In that season, we had some very big success games against the St. Louis Ambush. One game in which I believe we won 14-6, and another one that was relatively close. So, yeah, I got that scarf up there. I wonder if we're ever going to have retro Ontario Fury night, by the way, because I have so much red gear, by the way.
Yeah, if you are not watching this podcast, they are referencing the red Ontario Fury scarf that one the Dr. Jonathan Reimer just held up. You know, a little bit of a nod to the OG.
Absolutely. So, look, the St. Louis Ambush are a team that we squared off against at the Family Arena in St. Charles, because that's where they're located. And we walked out of the Family Arena with an 8-7 victory. Now, we started out hot. Howard Miller got himself on the boards. And I think they scored 3 early unanswered goals. But then St. Louis roared back. And quite honestly, the momentum shifted in their favor. Had there been a few more minutes and maybe a couple of centimeters on a few of SK's shots, we might have been walking out of here with another lump in our forehead. But luckily, we picked up a road win and our first win of the season against St. Louis. And look, they're a talented squad. William SK is one of the best players within the MASL, no doubt. Paulo Nascimento is number 2 in the league in saves as of, I think, the most recent statistical numbering. He's a fantastic keeper. You got Robbie Christo. You got Billy Stymack. You got Marcel Berry. You've got such talented players. Sam Guernsey. I mean, so many talented players on the St. Louis Ambush team. This is not going to be a walk in the park for the Empire Strikers. In fact, no team is going to be a walk in the park for the Empire Strikers. This is a very big game, and, well, we are still sitting on a goose egg, meaning we still don't have any wins in Toyota Arena. And with the Monterey Flash coming into town on February 4th, we have to strike against the Ambush.
Absolutely. And the Ambush are not a slouch of a team. I really like the pickup of them for Vic Moraligue. I think he's been a big force target presence up front. That's a great piece to be able to add to your team. And look, if you're a St. Louis fan, you're thinking the same thing. You're looking at Empire going, here's another 2-win team. Here's a huge chance for us to try and claw our way back in as well, too. And, try and pull a 4th playoff spot. So they feel like we stole 3 points from them in their house. They're going to be coming into our house wanting to steal those 3 points back.
For the record, during that game, if you look back at the score lines, 3 of those goals came by way of 6th attacker. So they really had to go a man up to really beat us in that game. And what we've done over the course of the games recently with being able to kill penalties, so essentially, defend with a man down in that situation, I think that we'll have a better opportunity there. And SK had 4 goals. So clearly they know who their man is, who they're going to mark. And they, like you said, they're a different team now than they were, I think, early on in the season. So I'm looking forward to this game. It's at home. And I mean, I would love to be able to do a post-game interview with somebody after they have just won a game, because I haven't got to do that yet. And there's a good chance I might cry on the air if that happens.
Well, you haven't done a post-game interview on a win. We haven't called a win at Toyota Arena, gosh, in a while. I mean, even towards last season, it was a while. I honestly don't even recall the last time we called a win at Toyota Arena.
But
But that's neither here nor there.
I think it was the time we crushed San Diego
No, I think we
or
have to have had
Utica.
one
Was
more
the game
win.
versus Utica?
Chihuahua
no.
was
There
in
was
March.
I think there was a game against that where we beat
Yeah,
Chihuahua,
Chihuahua.
and or Monterey.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Regardless, this is a prime opportunity for us. You talked about St. Louis getting themselves back into the playoff hunt. Look, that's going to be a Herculean effort, Doctor. They're sitting in 6th place with 8 points. The 4th place team is the Comets with 22. It's tightly packed between 2nd and 4th place in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if St. Louis is going to have enough muster to get themselves back into this, but the Strikers very much are within striking distance of that 4th playoff spot, being a mere 6 points shy of that 4th place spot where Tacoma sits. So 6-point turnaround right here. We pick up 3 and we gain some space against Tacoma, and then we have St. Louis stroll into Toyota Arena. We do what we got to do and take care of business. We pick up another couple of points right there, and then Tacoma, their next outing is going to be obviously us, but then they're going to play San Diego on Sunday the 28th, and Tacoma hasn't been successful against San Diego. So this is a real prime opportunity for us to make some noise and catch up. We're hanging by a thread, but still very much in the hunt. Sorry,
Things get a little difficult for the
Sylvestering Looney Tunes. Fucking dash.
I'm gonna have to take a bath after this.
Oh,
pod.
whatever. Go drink some wine.
As Philly expectorates his points, things are going to get a little difficult for the Strikers. They're coming home to play the Flash right after that. An undefeated team, and they look like they're on a roll. But I think, look, if ever there was an Akbar moment in which the Empire could strike back, perhaps in this case, we are the trap game. And we catch Monterey with the bulbs out in their flash, and who knows? Maybe we come home with some points in that one. And then it's on the road to face a Baltimore Blast team that, as we've already touched on, have some key pieces, but have really struggled in absence of some of their bigger players this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've got some key games coming up where points are essential, and I do think a win against Tacoma and St. Louis puts us in a really good position, confidence wise and skill wise, to hopefully put up a good game against the Flash. So that's kind of what's coming up. So Thursday, 7:05 Pacific, and then Sunday it's going to be at 4:00 Pacific time, and then like we said, we'll be back at Toyota Arena Sunday, February 4th. Again at 4, and then away February 9th, my mama's birthday. Shout out to my mama. At 4:35 Pacific time. So that is kind of what the Strikers schedule looks like coming up.
Kinda.
My God, would you please stop? Oh, somebody come and take this man. Oh, anyways.
Nobody knows
That is all that I have
the
on.
trouble I've seen.
Oh, everybody knows. They were here for it.
Nobody knows.
Panda, I think you need to take him to an Amco. His filters need to be replaced. But
right? I don't know what is going on with this one tonight, but
I do like the comb over look though. That was working
Whatever
for a second there.
Comb over look. I was just what happens when you hide under a t-shirt when your wife's yelling at you.
I actually didn't say anything.
Whatever. It's all yellow.
Oh, thank you. Everybody I know is very relieved. We have reached the end of this pod. Does anybody have any mulligans out there? Anything that they need to maybe bring back or talk about, or that I did not highlight in my notes today? No? Doctor, I think you have one last thing.
We'll do that on the way out, I suppose. I can't think of anything else other than to say thank you to all the fans for listening/watching wherever you might be consuming this. We appreciate your support of all things Striking Fury, featuring Philly Panda and the Doc. We are hoping to effort our amigos en español to join us for a future episode, so stay tuned to that. The newest Spanish-speaking members of our broadcast, Pablo Morales and Julio Ramos, who are going to be back with us on Sunday. Hopefully, might join us for a future pod so you can get to know those guys a little better. Some pretty cool dudes there, so hopefully we'll get a chance to bring those guys to you. But as always, if you have questions about all things Strikers, hit us up, and we will see you either in the Twitch chat or at the arena, hopefully Sunday. It's going to be a fun one. I know I have about 15 friends that are coming to the game on Sunday.
You don't know that many people.
It's astonishing, right? I had to bring in some family, but we're making it happen.
I'm your only friend.
It's true. It's true. Mis amigos de los District 9 Ultras are going to be in the house, so it should be a loud one on Sunday. It's going to be fun. So hopefully to see you guys all out at the arena. Plenty of good seats still available. I'd like to see Toyota Arena's attendance numbers get up a little bit. This team could really use a push. Would love to see us get back north of that 3,000, approaching 5,000 people in the arena mark once again. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun when there's people there. So tell your friends.
It's
drag
so
'em
much
out.
fun. Yes, I like I said, I'll be talking about my mom. I will be bringing her to the February 4th game, so she is going to be in town for her birthday. So if anybody comes to the arena, make sure you give Mama Panda a little bit of a love, because she's always Penny Bauman in the chat. So if you see her out there, she will be live and in person. So.
And be
Really?
nice to Panda's mom in the chat. Don't make me come after you, because I will.
One last thing. Download the Empire Strikers app. Hold on.
Where is it?
It's a thing. It's really good. It's really cool. There's a lot of awesome content on there, and we're going to keep putting things on there, including the episodes of Striking Fury. If you don't already see it on YouTube, thank you, Doctor. A lot of cool stuff, roster updates. Panda did an awesome interview with little Ella Nordberg. You get to find out what her favorite roller coaster is and who her favorite striker player is. The only hint I'll give you is we're going to be celebrating and honoring him on Sunday, so I could tell you that much. But it's going to be...
Hold on, Panda. What's your favorite roller coaster?
No, go to the app. You can't ask on the air. That's going to make people not want to go on the app. You're messing
okay,
it up.
I thought Panda was interviewing. Wait, who's she interviews? Okay, so Philly, what's your favorite roller coaster then? You're not interviewed by Ella.
My favorite roller coaster?
All time. Go ahead.
I don't know. It's probably something at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Forgetting the names of these freaking things. But Sandusky, Ohio, Cedar Point has at least at one point, they had the world's tallest roller coaster. It's terrifying. And I don't remember the name of it, but that one was pretty good. I'll say that much.
10 points. 10 points.
Anyways, download the app. It's going to be the first among many apps that are going to be happening from various teams throughout this league. And, well, the Empire Strikers are looking to do more things than just succeed on the field. We'd obviously need to succeed on the field because that would be pretty darn good too. But obviously on the outsides, we're looking to break hearts and set trends. Get your app on whatever software platform you download apps on and enjoy. It's a really cool app, and it's made very well, and a lot of cool content is going to be posted. And I'm done.
Sounds good.
All right, folks. Well, on behalf of all things Strikers, before we head out, we'd like to remind you about our friends at Omnitrans. Omnitrans is the proud sponsor of Striking Fury and your ride to the Strikers games and everywhere else you want to go in San Bernardino County. Omnitrans is now hiring bus operators, mechanics, and vehicle service workers. Earn great wages and get up to $1,000 sign-on bonus and enjoy great benefits, including medical, dental, and tuition reimbursement. Working for Omnitrans is more than a job. It's a career. Visit omnitrans.org/mycareer and apply today.
All right. There's only one thing left to stay.
Strike hard.
Rise with fury.
No mercy.
I thought it was defend the strike hard, defend the empire.
I don't
no mercy.
know.
We don't know. That's
2
the
years
fun
ago.
of it.
No. You went back to the Ontario Fury one.
I mean,
we got to no. Strike hard, defend the empire. No mercy.
Whatever.
Sure that's it.
No mercy. We'll leave it at no mercy.
You know
Take
what?
no prisoners.
The only thing
We'll get it right next time, I swear.
Bye.
Bye.